And one would think, at a time when Project 2025, as constructed by the Heritage Foundation, is being instituted across America, and we know the mindset of the Heritage Foundation when it comes to voting.
They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Hey, shout out to all of our subscribers and members here on the channel. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. One of the things I try to do as many times as I can is to extend a debt of gratitude to all those freedom fighters who stood in the gaps and afforded us the liberties that we are able to enjoy today. And in that vein, I would like to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Going out to Selma, Alabama in 1965, civil rights activists were beaten by police officers while marching peacefully from Selma to Montgomery to protest the racist voter suppression perpetuated by the state of Alabama and beyond. The state troopers' violent assault on the black activists shocked the nation and would be remembered as Bloody Sunday. The Voting Rights Act explicitly served to enforce the 15th Amendment passed almost a century prior. That amendment stating, quote, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude." In spite of the 15th Amendment, racial voter suppression continued in practice. The VRA set out to meaningfully eradicate voting policies that discriminated on the basis of race. In addition to explicitly outlawing poll taxes, literary tests, and other discriminatory practices, the Voting Rights Act also created a system for preventing practices of voter suppression from passing through Justice Department oversight. Section 4 of the VRA created a formula to identify which states and localities had a history of racial voter suppression and would fall under Justice Department supervision. Section 5 created a new rule called preclearance. This rule mandated states and localities identified by the VRA coverage formula to get approval or pre-clearance for any changes whatsoever to voting and election policies with the Justice Department. Which brings us to current day, because apparently we can't have nice things and something that is inherently good just doesn't exist. In 2013, the Supreme Court asserted that the coverage formula used to determine which states and localities were subject to pre-clearance was outdated and therefore unconstitutional. The court concluded that Formula Section 4 was decades old and targeted practices that had been eradicated as the country changed, and that the racial disparity in voter registration and turnout was no longer prevalent in 2013. Without the coverage formula, the VRA's pre-clearance protection is unenforceable. This means that regions with a history of discrimination no longer have federal oversight before changing their voting processes, which has opened the floodgates to voter suppression. And when I think about what jurisdictions have been subject to voter suppression and voter discrimination, I can definitely think of one. America.
Your vehicle?
Yeah.
Did you open the trunk of your vehicle and show us that it's not there?
Yeah, I don't know why it would be tracking that.
Get a video of this. This is where they all are.
I'm sorry, this is funny. Why don't you just take them all?
Early in the morning on October 28th. 30 seconds later, the driver pulls away, and then smoke starts pouring from the box. That's when an explosion happens and sparks fly everywhere. Officials say the fire suppression system inside that box.
Picture again of Caleb Williams holding the machete in the air, police say. It was taken by one of two women who told police they were worried about getting hurt. The Duval County Democratic Party says the women were peacefully holding Harris Walls signs when Williams confronted them with a machete over his head. When police arrived, they found the teens and say that Williams was standing next to a truck and that the machete was in the bed of that truck in plain view. Williams was arrested. The other teens were not. Williams is in the Duval County Jail right now facing 2 charges, including aggravated assault and improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon. Records show that he registered as a Republican in March of last year. Chief Key says he is committed to making sure that this site remains safe for anyone simply trying to cast a ballot without fear or intimidation of doing.
That's why every single person who has real power in this world, they are fully engaged in the political process. Every CEO and billionaire and corporate board president, they follow the news obsessively. They hire lobbyists to fight for their interest.
And one would think, at a time when Project 2025, as constructed by the Heritage Foundation, is being instituted across America, and we know the mindset of the Heritage Foundation when it comes to voting.
They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
You would think that would be a moment in time where we decide to reinforce the Voting Rights Act, which brings me to exactly why I'm troubled. Not only has that not happened, but on this a momentous occasion of celebrating the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, who invited Byron? I'm in Selma. Today is the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. While standing at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, GOP Rep. Byron Donalds said he opposes the return of preclearance, a vital element of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which this historic Selma March was all about.
This act that was passed in 65 are also in effect today, except for preclearance. That's the element that the Supreme Court struck down.
Now, first of all, got to give a shout out to all of the people on the ground for not showing up to Byron Donalds. That looked grim, Byron. I'm beyond. That looked grim. That looked bad. That looked like you going to a family reunion for all the people on your Jamaican side after they heard that you perpetrated the accent. That is the turnout that you were afforded there, and it was earned. It was definitely earned. For you to show up at a time and place like that to spout that nonsense, sadly, was every bit as shocking as it was predictable. I mean, we have seen exactly how fast you're willing to dance.
As well, does it concern you at all that Trump and Musk's efficiency initiatives are impacting the economy in this way?
Let's be clear about the numbers that you're reporting. The reason why the job growth numbers are down is because government workers are the ones who are starting to lose their job at the federal level. And it needs to be understood that under the previous administration, they increased the government workforce really in ways that are unsustainable. So what is happening here in Washington is getting the federal government under control so we can get spending under control. And the number one way you get inflation in an economy is overspending at the federal level. So yes, we have to shrink the federal government. It has to live within its means. That's what the American people have to do every day. But the other elements of our economy are very, very strong, and they're going to remain that way.
But the consumer sentiment is down. It's the lowest it's been in 3.5 years. Spending is down. Certain prices are up.
I was actually going to respond before she jumped in. Yeah, that's not the only thing that's down.
President Trump is vowing to buy a Tesla after the company's stock plunged. Critics blame CEO Elon Musk's focus on his White House role for the stock slide, while protesters are targeting Tesla dealerships across the country. Now, the president is defending his advisor, posting on Truth Social that Musk shouldn't be punished for helping to make America great again. Chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky has more.
We just saw this big sell-off in the last 24 hours. How are the markets doing this morning, some 30 minutes now into trading?
Well, hey there, Anna. Good morning to you. Kind of a mixed start to the trading day right now. The S&P just slightly higher right now. The Dow down more than 100 points. The Nasdaq coming off its worst day since 2022, bouncing back somewhat, up just about 0.5%. But that certainly isn't easing the concerns about the stock market that has lost. And I want you to make sure you're hearing this number correctly. $4 trillion of market value since its all-time high less than a month ago.
But back to your explanation, Byron. So you came to show up and put your wide face on this jobs report by asserting that the jobs report is negative because we fired federal workers. So do those jobs not count? I'm trying to figure out exactly why that was a reasonable explanation for you. But you will show up and give us this nonsense, but I haven't heard nan word from you about any of the DEI purges throughout the military. I ain't heard nothing about that.
You may be wondering, what was so controversial about that picture that it needed to be taken down? Well, according to the AP, a review of the database also underscores the confusion that has swirled among agencies about what to remove following Trump's order. In some cases, photos seem to be flagged for removal simply because their file included the word gay. Yes, really. And that includes service members with that last name and an image of the B-29 aircraft, the Enola Gay. I mean...
Lord.
Yeah.
Look.
I would laugh, except that it's like...
But it's terrible.
Crazy.
And the thing is, and I don't even think we should use their language. You know, their language is, oh, we're doing it because of DEI. No, you are removing black people, gay people, and women from America's government's websites. That's wrong. That's wrong. In what world is that appropriate?
But I guess it's all about priorities, because you did have time to address Andrew Tate.
The current Attorney General of Florida has announced he's opened a criminal investigation against Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan, because in Romania, where they just came to Florida from, there were charges of rape, sex with and trafficking, human trafficking. Do you support the Attorney General's actions here?
I do. I think those allegations have to be fully investigated, and then we go from there. The key thing is we don't tolerate the trafficking of women or, frankly, the abuse of women. We do not tolerate that. So if the Attorney General finds cause under Florida law to investigate that, then I wish him the best, and I support whatever he's going to do on that matter.
Are Andrew and Tristan Tate welcome in Florida?
No. Quite frankly, not. Because if you listen to some of the dialogue, I find it to be demeaning and disgusting. That's not about being an alpha male. It's not about being a strong man. What they stand for, in my view, is something totally different.
Now, that is a pretty strong statement. That's a strong statement. That's the kind of statement I would expect to hear when Trump is talking about bringing in white South Africans in the midst of mass deportation. It's that kind of energy that I would expect to hear. Like when they talked about, when they're doing the purges in the military and anti-DEI and firing all things that are black. I would have thought I would have heard that kind of energy from you then. But here is where you decide to pick up steam. It is no wonder why Stephen A. Smith thinks so highly of you.
When you look at Byron Donalds, do you say, irregardless of how you feel about him, I can take him?
Byron Donalds? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I think, listen, I've watched him get interviewed. I've watched him speak. And although I don't like his flagrant support of Trump, where he shoves aside just anything that Trump has done, when you get into the weeds talking politics with this man about what conservatives offer compared to Democrats, I find it very difficult to imagine a Democrat in front of him being able to beat him on the issues, because I think he knows what he's talking about, and I think he speaks in a way that resonates with an audience. So he has the facts, he has inside knowledge about what takes place, and on top of it all, he has the personality where he's feisty enough to come back at you and resonate with a viewing audience. I don't see a lot of that on the Democratic side.
Now, that doesn't surprise me one bit, that you would be as impressed with Byron Donalds as you are. Not with what you said about Candace Owens.
Don't even think about challenging her ability to articulate her point of view. You better know what the hell you're talking about when you come at her. That's what I take away.
Hello? Yeah, Byron Donalds. No, not yet. I did. I gave him credit for not going to the Black Maga Black History Month. All right, fine. All right. Like I said, my mother's trying to help me be more positive and find ways where I will agree with people. So I will give you some credit, Byron Donalds. I will give you some credit for the Andrew Tate thing, because when he came out initially like he did, I thought that was going a negative place. Ron DeSantis is attacking me because he was worried I would support Byron Donalds over his wife, knowing I have monumental political weight and trust our commander-in-chief, President Trump's recommendations completely. They attack me to prevent me from destroying his wife's political ambitions. Interestingly, I had no interest in Floridian politics until I learned how communist the DeSantis administration is. The game is on. Did Andrew Tate just say he would destroy his wife's political ambition? Hey, you don't have to let Byron Donalds stop you from doing that. You can still do that. That's fine. But I'm here to give Byron. I will give you credit because you could have gone out like Mario Lopez. You could have gone out like Mario Lopez, and you didn't. And also have to begrudgingly give you credit for your take on the Derek Chauvin pardon. Chances are Ben doesn't even remember when Trump and a host of other Republicans came out condemning the death of George Floyd. But this proposal isn't meant to be taken seriously. It's engagement farming specifically designed to stoke racial tensions. And let me look at the quote tweet here. Byron Donalds' congressional intern just retweeted that looking into the death of George Floyd is racist engagement farming. Dang. Oh, my bad. I can't even give you credit for that. That was your intern. I can't give you credit. Byron, did you ever respond to DeSantis and when he said that you were lazy, didn't show up to work? Did you at least respond to that?
Florida Congressman Byron Donalds has announced, yes, he is entering the race for governor of Florida. President Trump has endorsed Donalds, but Governor DeSantis has not.
My view is Donald Trump just got into office. I want these congressmen focused on enacting his agenda. The reality is we've achieved victories in Florida. We need to start achieving those victories up there. So I think people look at it and say, you got a guy like Byron, he just hasn't been a part of any of the victories that we've had here over the left over these last years. He's just not been a part of it.
Well, look who's here now, Congressman Byron Donalds, the man himself. DeSantis says you were not part of the victories. Would you like to respond to that?
No, not really. Listen, Stu, I'm just really thankful, first, to have the support of President Trump and have his complete and total endorsement to run to be the next governor of Florida. I would say in terms of what I've been able to accomplish in my time in elected politics, when I was a freshman in the state legislature, I passed the first bill of its kind in the country that gave parents and community members an ability to actually examine what was in the textbook materials of students, so we could actually find out what was actually going on in the indoctrination of our kids. I passed that bill into law in the state legislature of Florida. Then Governor Rick Scott signed it. I also passed one of the major expansions of school choice at that time in Florida's history with the Hope Scholarship to help children who were being bullied in schools, to give them an opportunity to go to another school of their choice and of their parents' choice. So I've been very successful in helping the move of school choice and also the move of the conservative movement through politics over the last decade. Look, my record speaks for itself. I'm very happy to have President Trump's support. And so right now, this is about the future of Florida, the voters of Florida, and doing everything possible to make sure that not only do we continue to be the best state in the country, but that we take it to new heights.
You're introducing a bill to shut down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. What's wrong with it? Why are you doing that?
Well, listen, this is legislation that I've filed every year I've been in Congress. The CFPB is one of the worst agencies ever created. It is a rogue agency that has little to no oversight from Congress or even from the executive branch. They go off and they put out memos, they put out notices, they walk in and out of companies with impunity. They don't even get their money from Congress. They go to the Federal Reserve and they just send a letter over there saying we need X amount of money, and the Fed gives it to them. That's how the CFPB was designed by Elizabeth Warren and the radical Democrats when they were moving Dodd-Frank. They designed it to be a rogue agency outside of the oversight of Congress. That does not respect our Constitution. It doesn't respect the will of the people, and that's why that agency must be closed.
Got it. Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida. Thanks for joining us, sir. We always appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Byron Donalds, did you just respond to him saying you lazy, didn't show up to work? I think he said you grabbing ponytails over there too. Yeah, I think he said you grabbing ponytails and breaking pencils over there. And they said you stole some of the bathroom passes. He said all of that. And your response is, I have been a good boy, but boy, what a good job Ron DeSantis has been doing. That's your response? That is your response? I just need to understand.
This is what I voted for. When they see peace starting to break out again around the world, they're going to be like, this is the stability that we were asking for. Daddy's back. And that's what you're going to see.
Right? When you didn't get the VP nod and you didn't get a cabinet position, oh, I know, there was discussions, right? There were discussions, right? I know.
Do you feel like you were slighted in that way, or do you have bigger plans?
I don't feel slighted. Just because you're not in the cabinet doesn't mean you don't have a big job. If we're going to be truthful, well, that conversation was had. I said, no, I'm looking at other things.
So you were approached to be a part of the Trump cabinet?
There were conversations that were heard. I was never had. I'm going to leave it at that. But I got my own plans and things that I want to do.
Including rumblings that he may run for Florida governor.
You running?
We'll see.
You didn't get the VP nod. You didn't get cabinet position. You didn't get tapped to be senator. Now we are to governor, which would be the fourth attempted lily pad for you. And you are faced with opposition. What makes you think this is going to go well for you? Huh?
Byron Donalds is as MAGA as they come and drunk all the Kool-Aid for sure. So that's just what we need. More of that in Florida. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, and my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. Orange Jesus, you can pipe in. Byron Donalds, you can too.
I'm trying to figure out, because you think that the Trump stamp is all that's needed, because he was the one that passed you up for all of these other things up before senator. I just, why your pick-me behavior is become a liability. And you keep doubling down on the pick-me behavior.
Congressman, welcome to Newsmax. What's your top-line thoughts on a big night for Donald Trump?
Well, look, it was a tour de force. The president laid out clearly all the things that he has done in his first 45 days in stark contrast from the Biden administration. Going over things with the border, securing it, bringing peace around the globe, securing our nation, all of the things that the American people have wanted to see happen. Get men out of women's sports, other things like that. I think the most jarring thing was that the Democrats decided to make a spectacle, not of the event, but of themselves.
I think spectacle was the right word. Why don't we talk about that spectacle?
Please stick with me on this. I feel like I'm going fucking bananas, but I've spent 2 hours in the Peyton McNabb rabbit hole. Peyton McNabb got her 30 seconds of fame after Donald Trump told about her story of how a transgender athlete spiked a volleyball into her face, ending her athletic career. The sheer impact of the ball has left McNabb with significant long-term physical and mental effects. According to the Independent Women's Forum, this fateful event happened on September 1st of 2022. On September 1st of 2022, Peyton McNabb's athletic career came to a tragic end. Peyton, the Huddle account is still up, G. Do you mean to tell me, Peyton McNabb, you received a traumatic, life-altering brain injury in September, And that following 6 months, you were hitting 400 in varsity softball in North Carolina. Mind you, she was posting highlights on her fucking huddle page November of 2022. Not even a whole 2 months have passed since this absurdly awful injury to Peyton McNabb, and she's out here looking like Herb Jones with 3 steals. The amount of endless lies so that way these evil groups of fucking people can get their way in this country is absolutely fucking sick.
Now, you mentioned boys and girls sports, which of course needed to be there as it is at the forefront in the priority list of Americans concerned about their food supply and safety and healthcare. So yeah, we definitely got to make sure that we take care of that. As far as DJ Daniel was concerned, you certainly made that spectacle worthwhile. You got your money's worth.
There was a young kid whose dream is to be a police officer. The president made him an honorary Secret Service agent, a young kid who suffered from brain cancer. The Democrats sat on their hands. They couldn't even applaud the basic things that make our nation wonderful, the compassion that the president has shown to so many people who've gone through hard times in our nation.
Honored to meet America's newest Secret Service special agent, DJ Daniel. Yes, I would say presenting this young man in the way in which you guys have while you are actively making life difficult for anybody else who finds themselves in that position, I would say spectacle is exactly the right word. But, DJ taking his job serious now. Young Secret Service agent DJ Daniel stands ready to apprehend Byron Donalds for perpetrating as a black man. I mean, I would tell you to take it up with the DOJ Civil Rights Division, but you know they on freeze, so I don't know. Honestly, Byron, the evidence is pretty strong. How Byron thinks he looks. Don't put me on that jury, because it would look bad for you, Byron. It would look bad, especially when they find out on the yard you was perpetrating being a Jamaican. They're not going to like that. Sincere thanks to all of the subscribers and the members that have supported this channel. We just hit a new milestone, and that is 2,000 members. So I want to give you a sincere thank you to everybody that's a part of that 2,000. And with that comes first a celebration of the 2,000, but also regular members' lives. Be on the lookout for a poll that I'm going to send out to you guys on when you guys would most want to have these lives, because I want to do it when the most people can attend. It's really about time that we can have, a semi-private conversation outside of the prying ears of the algorithm, which also means it can get colorful and go exactly where you want it to go.
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
No, not that. No, I knew what you was thinking. I knew you was going to take it there.
And it is time for it to stop. And it stopped on Tuesday.
I'm also going to start bringing guests and collaborating with other creators on my regular Tuesday lives. So if you have somebody else in this space, or another creator, or a comedian, or maybe just a poli-sci major you think I could have a really good conversation with, go ahead and send your suggestions to admin@reesewaters.com. You could also submit it at the portal on my website. That's also where you could sign up for the newsletter and see all the newest merch that we're rolling out, some brand new stuff on the horizon. But I want to come back to where I started and thank you guys for making this channel so much more than I ever thought possible.